Dominators, welcome back to the VShare channel, and today I present to you my personalized coral deck recipe. So thank you very much for Wilson. Actually, it's not my deck, it's actually Wilson's deck, but he's lent it to me in order for me to record this deck recipe and post it on YouTube for you guys to see. So thank you very much to him. And yep, following up the new format, we have the full layout of the deck, and then after that we're going into the cards, the skills, why do we run them, and then last but not least, a little bit of tips and tricks and combos at the end of the video if I feel like it. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. We've got the new grade 4 right here from VEB1111. Crystal Melody, we have Crystal Popstar Eve, the new grade 4. Reasons why I actually run her in the deck is because of the skill, which is X Vanguard Circle. You look at the top card of the deck and you recall the top card of the deck to an open Rearguard Circle. So take note, it's open only. You can't call over a Rearguard Circle that already has a unit on it. But why do we run this card is because of deck clears or board clears such as Narukami or like Kagero. Any deck that is able to wipe your board, such as Hyuga as well. This card helps you to replenish your field really easily by just free costing, looking at the top card of the deck and calling it, or leaving it at the top. And then once you hit a trigger, especially a critical trigger, you would ideally leave it on top, which ties in with the second skill. Continuous Vanguard Circle, when your unit's power or critical will be increased by a trigger effect, you double the value of the increase. So whenever you check a crit, you double the power. So in case of 10k, you gain 20k, and you double the crit chance. Instead of critical plus 1, you take critical plus 2. So instead of working for 1 crit, you're working for 3. Instead of working for 2 crits, if you check a crit trigger, you're working for 3 crits. And if you check another critical trigger, you're working for 5 crits, which is really insane, I would say. And that's one of the reasons why she's such a good grade 4. I've seen decks such as Melody, Melody, Coral, and Relay run this card, but not more than 2, obviously. Especially for Highlander, you wouldn't want to run more than 2. But reasons why she's so strong is obviously a free board, and whenever you just check a trigger, especially a crit, the power increase and the critical chance increase is really strong. Yeah, so ideally you would want to run at least 1 copy of her, but it's really flexible. Take note that the second skill, Continuous, it applies on your turn as well. If you damage check a trigger, any trigger actually, doesn't matter, crit, draw, or heal, you increase the power of the assigned unit, the trigger. It gains 20k instead of 10k. So actually, if you power all to your Vanguard and you're on this Vanguard, you're sitting at a 34k base, in which most clans are unable to touch, especially if they're working with their Rearguard. So obviously, taking note that you're not God Hand and you're not sucking France or anything, most of the opponents will just wreck your Rearguards and you enter, and then yeah, sure, you can use the skill again to replenish the lost Rearguards. That's why this card is really strong. I recommend you run 1, but flexibility, of course, you don't have to run it at all. Moving on to the grade 3 Coral, the star of the deck, obviously, Aurea Star Coral. We have 1 SVR right here, so yay, clap, just like the stream. Continuous Vanguard Circle with Sobas, a total of 4 more distant. The original critical of all units with Coral in the card name becomes 2. So we have the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 Coral. All of the crit gains, all their critical base crits plus 1. So we are working for 2 damage instead of 1. And then X, once per turn, count plus 1, so plus 2, return a normal unit each from Rearguard Circle and drop zone to your hand. If you return a card with Coral, this unit gains 15k. So what does this mean? It means that you are getting a card back from your field, so you can activate the effect once again. We'll get to later. Some cards are, or most cards, if not all, are actually on play skills. Especially if your opponents are whacking your Rearguards and you let them go because they're too high power or whatever, you are able to retrieve them back from your drop zone, which is important because you ideally want to return the grade 2 and grade 1 Coral from wherever drop zone or damage zone or the field or whatever back to your hand in order to activate their effects. So it's really important that this that this unit is able to do that, and especially if you Sobas a total of 4 or more distant, which the grade 1, grade 2 helps you to do. With the grade 2 helps you to do, and the grade 3, it enables all of your Corals to gain crit plus 1. So yeah, for Corals, obviously we don't really have to get into why you don't run less than 4 Corals. Yeah. Alright, moving on to Colorful Pastoral Coral. These are the grade 3 run. Reason wants it because I understand it's a free 18k booster. You have 2 on it on the field, it's a free 23k booster. First skill is this unit gains boost, and during the battle that it boosts, it gains 5k. So this unit, this skill shared against all your Melody. So it doesn't matter, you only run 2 Melody units instead, which is this card. And then Auto Vanguard Circle, when played, Soul Blast 2, search your deck for up to one colorful replacer card, add it to your hand. So basically, there's a Persona searcher. As I said before, it's a free 23k booster or 18k booster depending on how many you have on the field. And this deck obviously runs on Force 1. You will never ever want to run Force 2 because Coral already gives you the inbuilt crit. So running Force 2 doesn't really make sense. You ideally want to run Force 1 and you want to create large column numbers in order for you to end your opponent off. So that's one of the reasons why we play Caro, and combined with Force 1, it forms up to 40 to 50, maybe even 60k columns depending on how many times you ride. So yeah, Caro is a really good tag in. Moving on to the grade 2, we have Masterly Cover Mini, if I'm not wrong, that's the name. Yeah, recent runs to copy because I think it's the only draw power in the deck other than draw triggers, but we don't run draw triggers as I said before. We run crits for good reason, we'll get to later. Here's one congratulations right here because he won it in a recent tourney, and I think it's really cool. So the skill, when placed, you may count +1, draw 2 cards and return a card from your hand to your deck and shuffle it. If you do not have a Rearguard with the same card name as your Vanguard on the Rearguard circle, you return 3 cards instead of 1. Controversy with this card is basically, if you guys know, there was one guy that actually returned 3 heals back to the deck. Is it? No, it's related, I think, something like that. I totally forgot, but basically the guy returned 3 heals in premium or something like that. But what this card enables you to do is to draw 2 cards from the deck and then you return a trigger or any normal unit back to the deck in shuffle. So it helps to filter. At the same time, it's a free +1 in a sense where you draw 2, return 1. But take note, obviously you need to have a Rearguard with the same name as your Vanguard. If not, you have to return 3 cards, which is a minus actually. But it depends. In the late game when you're decking out and you really want to depend on you drive checking triggers, you can actually call this, even though you don't have a Rearguard with the same name as your Vanguard. You return 3 crits back to your deck from your hand just to increase the chance of you checking the triggers. It's really, really good. So yeah, 2 copies, I think it's fine. Moving on to the grade 2 Coral. Shining Star Coral. The skill, Auto Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle, when played, Soul Charge 1. If you have Vanguard with Coral, you Soul Charge an additional 1. So basically the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, all, grade 1, grade 2, sorry, relies on you Soul Charging a lot so that you can use the Aura's grade 3 skill in order to Soul Blast the cards out from your Soul and gain the ability of all your Coral units gain crit +1. Moving on, the X1 pattern. We have Soul Blast 2 and this unit gains 10k at the end of turn. If you have Vanguard with Coral, it gains additional 5k. So it's a free 25k attacker. At the same time, if you're putting it on Force, it's a 35k attacker with crit 2. Moving with the booster, grade 1 booster, it depends how big it will be. So it's a really good card, especially if you need the Soul, and the grade 3 is able to bring it back to your hand so you can call and Soul Charge 2 again because of the skill. And even if it flies to the drop zone by any chance your opponent hitting it or retiring it by effect, you are able to get that back. So 4 off, obviously I don't see the point of not running 4 of it. Moving on to grade 2, we have Lyceloid. So draw that card, I think that is fine as well. Reasons why you run, because it's a free +1 and you are able to do it on grade 1 turn. Continuous hand, it can be called as a grade 1. Yeah. And then once it's placed, you look at the top card of your deck, call it to Rearguard Circle or shove it into your Soul. So it provides an additional Soul. Worst case, you are unable to get like the grade 2 or grade 1 on board. You're able to use Lyceloid to get the Soul for free. And it's a free +1 to your field in the early game so that you can rush your opponents down. So I don't see the point of not running 4 off. Moving on to the last grade 2 we have in the deck is Charming Maid Piao Liang. So basically this girl in a qipao dress, the Chinese dress. It basically is Coral support. When placed, if you have Vanguard with Coral in his card name, you may count +1 and at the end of turn. When your opponent will call cards from their hand to Garden Circle, he or she must call 2 or more at the same time. So what does this mean? Is a free Musashi effect for the whole turn, especially if you have a Coral Vanguard, in which most of the time you will want to sit on Coral Vanguard unless you grind up to the grade 4. And I think it's really devastating for your opponent to keep throwing 2 or more cards from their hand, especially if you were to throw a Sentinel or a Kanzen, because of the effect of your Coral units being crit 2, base crit 2, and you running 12 crits in your deck. It's really devastating for them to keep throwing 2 or more cards from their hand. It deplenishes the card hand a lot. and applies the additional pressure, so 4 off is a must. Moving on to the grade 1s, we have the grade 1 Coral, Fresh Star Coral. When placed on Vanguard Circle, if your soul has a card with Coral in its card name, so you obviously need to run the starter. You draw a card and put a card from your hand into your soul. So basically a filter. It doesn't make much difference, but yeah, when placed, you may soul charge 1. When placed on Vanguard, so take note it's only Vanguard. When placed, soul charge 1. If your Vanguard with Coral in its card name, you soul charge additional 1 and this gains 5k at the end of turn. Free 13k booster. You are able to move it up to the front row rear guard circle as well if you're on a grade 3. Apply with a force marker, it's a 23k attacker and crit +1, so I don't see why not. You can actually fill up the board with this and apply pressure to your opponent with the crit +1. Moving on to the grade 1, we have Special Message Aura, the draw deck card. Simple skill, Vanguard Rearguard, when placed, draw a card, discard card from hand, and has the main effect, which is this ability may be only used once per turn. So yeah. Moving on to the last grade 1, grade 1 comes in. I think it's pretty simple, almost the same effect, it's exactly the same effect as this card, Special Message Aura. But the only difference is obviously it's a Sentinel, you can use it to guard. So when placed, discard, draw 1, discard 1, and if it's placed on Guardian Circle, discard card on hand, 1 units can be hit at the end of the battle. So yeah, that's basically it for the normal units. Now getting to triggers, we have 12 crits and 4 heals. Reasons why we don't want draw, because you're running the grade 4 and you want to check crits most of the time, especially your Coral, grade 3 Coral, which has the inbuilt crit. For all of your Corals, the base crit is actually 2. You're jacking more crits, the base crit is 3, which is quite devastating for some decks, especially if they no get a Vanguard and they just drive check 2 crits. They are basically taking 4 damage to their face and they are probably dead. So one of the reasons why we actually run 12 crits and no draws is because number 1, Wilson doesn't have the money to buy draws like me. Yeah, the draw triggers are pretty expensive in Bermuda right now, but obviously to substitute for the draws, you can run crits in the deck, and then which I think is the correct choice for Coral, because you already have the inbuilt crit and you're running Eve at the same time. So judging crits is the way to go. Crits for game and crits for the win. 4 heals, obviously I don't think you want to cut the heals off for like any other triggers. So you're unable to run fronts because you're 4 stack, you're not XL deck. So heals is a way to save your life as well. Free 20k shield, so why not? Starter, obviously you need to run the Coral starter for your grade 1 effect. But you can throw your opponent off by running other starters as well, but I don't see the point of running other starters. So yeah, Force 1 is the way to go. Never go Force 2. If you're going Force 2, then sell the deck. Don't play Vanguard. Yes, that's basically about it. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys liked it. I haven't posted any Coral deck fight with this deck at all because the files were corrupted. I wouldn't say why, but yeah, its files is corrupted. I'll try my best to get at least one deck fight out featuring this deck against, I don't know what other deck I'm going to feature, but the main point is to actually feature the Coral deck in the deck fight, and the other deck that this deck is facing is pretty much negligible and can be filled with whatever deck that the guy or girl is playing. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys like this video. This is Vishai and I'm out. Peace!